this morning. Got some situational football in as well. Some things to clean up from that. Defense, one defense in particular, I thought had a really good day. Started really fast offensively. Some things we got to clean up just on execution and communication, but a lot of good work. So open it up.
Scrimmage, you talked about some pre-snap things that need to be cleaned up. Do you feel like that took a step in the right direction this week?
Yeah, just, both sides of the ball, a few more penalties than we had in scrimmage one. We got to play smarter, play cleaner. That was true offensively, but on the defensive side of the ball as well. Got to continue to grow in the way that we play.
You obviously got a number of guys banged up. What's the challenge in scrimmaging, and how do you structure it to where you can maximize what you want to get out of a day like today?
Yeah, the game hasn't changed. You got to be physical. You got to play with alignment and technique. You got to play assignment sound. We've tried to balance that throughout the course of spring. But at some point, you got to get the work that you need to grow as a team too. So on days like today, we've placed an emphasis on that.
I know Peyton Lewis isn't the only one with an increased opportunity for playing time this year, but what kind of camp and what kind of scrimmage did he have today?
Yeah, Peyton's had a great spring. He's got a lot more comfort and understanding in the scope of what we're doing. It should be that way in year two. He grew throughout the course of last year too. But he's done a really, really good job. That's with the ball in his hands, but it's also playing without the ball. All those running backs have done a good job of growing throughout, the first, we're past the halfway point at this way, but have really grown fundamentally in playing without the football, and they've all, continued to take strides in the understanding of what we're doing, in particular the young guys. A lot of good competition in that room.
You mentioned that you started fast offensively today. What did you like about the execution when you were playing at that higher tempo?
No, just defensively started fast today. I thought they played extremely well early in the scrimmage. Offensively, some execution that we got to clean up. That's guys that are skill players out on the perimeter with some of our protection stuff too. All in all, there's some things that we got to do at a better level today.
Just look at the roster. You can tell there's a lot of young guys that are going to play this year. Do you think those guys get the urgency of that there's opportunities immediately, and how do you think that's affected how they've approached spring?
Well, they get the urgency of the competition. Grade those guys every day. Certainly understand that you don't just put the Tennessee helmet on and positive things happen for you on game day. This is a game where you got to go make it happen. All those guys are in the growth, talking about the young guys in particular, right? Like there's not an end destination, man. It's a journey to continue to grow, to be the player that you need, and then to operate 11 guys operating as one, offense, defense, and all special teams too. So, we're a long ways from kickoff. We got a chance to be a good team, but we gotta continue to grow.
How's Boo handling the dual duties this spring, and what has he brought to the offensive side to this point?
When you do that, there's a whole nother workload that you got to take on because you got to understand what's going on both sides of the football, and he's done a really good job. Spent a lot of extra time in here, learning what we're doing offensively, being able to handle the structure of the offense. We're intentional in what positions we're putting them in during the course of practice today during scrimmage, and trying to manage that side of it. He's worked hard, you can look at him as a punt returner to see the skill set when he has the ball in his hands. He's got a chance to be a dynamic playmaker.
How do you evaluate your quarterbacks today, including deep ball accuracy? What did you see from those guys in camp against you?
A couple plays down the field that I really liked. We got into a 4-minute situation. There's some things that we can clean up in the operation of that. That's the first time that they've had that this season, this spring. And all in all, there were some real positives, but there's the things that we got to clean up, and that's all the guys that are in the room.
How did the offensive line perform today, and how would you assess the progress of that rebuilding that group overall?
Yeah, I like where the group's going. There's competition. They understand that day in and day out, what's going on the practice field and how they're getting graded. Today, I thought there were at times that we executed well in the run game. I don't think it was a complete day where we executed at the level that we're capable of, as an entire unit the entire day.
You were complimentary of the young wide receivers after the first scrimmage. Did you see them sort of build on it over the week leading into this, and how do they perform today? Did you see sort of growth that you want to see?
Those guys have been really consistent as far as what we're getting out of them on the practice field and the meeting room. You see them continuing to take strides. I thought they both performed really well today. Talking about the two new young guys that were in that room.
On the flip side, with the young defensive backs, where do you think they progress from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2 with when you talk about the next 5 days or whatever? What do you feel like where are those guys at right now?
Yeah, for me, I think after watching it, I'll have a better understanding of their overall performance throughout the course of the day. Fundamentally, and within the scope of their technique and scheme, they've continued to take strides, and you can see that in our 11-on-11, but you can see it in some of our group work where we're working those fundamentals and technique as well. It's a talented group. It's long. It's athletic. Just got to continue to grow as a player before we get to fall.
Earlier this season, Nico mentioned that Mike and Chris and Braylon Staley had opportunities to be that number 1 type target. How did you see that connection out on the field today?
Yeah, Braylon wasn't going today. I thought the other two guys did a good job in the scope of what we were doing offensively. They've been consistent in making plays day in and day out on the practice field, and for them it's just constant growth as far as within the scope of what we're doing, the fundamentals and technique, learning how to attack defenders, reading zone man, and ultimately getting on the same page with the quarterback.
You mentioned Boo has worked in well at receiver, and the young guys have worked in well. Do you have any concerns of your numbers at wide receiver?
Yeah, you want to come try out here? No. Okay. Listen, ultimately it's always about the guys in the room. A year ago we had some guys that departed through the transfer portal. Hard to keep everybody happy at that position. I love the group that we got. As a staff, you always evaluate where you're at, on the back end of spring ball, and we'll certainly do that. But I do really like the guys that we got in there, how they work, how they compete, how they're trying to grow. That's on the practice field. It's outside of it. Like what they've done through the course of spring ball too.
Sort of related to what you talked about earlier with the guys out, will that change the format of the spring game at all? What will you do for that? And I guess with the growing trend nationally too of spring games kind of going away, how do you kind of view the importance of that, or is that something that you plan to keep for the future?
Yeah, for us it's a third opportunity to play football in a game day like situation. I think it's really important for the young guys. They get a chance to go out and perform in front of people. It's a part of the growth for them as we get ready for kickoff next fall. So I'm looking forward to seeing a huge crowd. I'm not sure what we're limited to because of construction, but expect that thing to be packed out. It should be a beautiful day, and I look forward to seeing our fans. Yeah, relatively. I mean, there might be a few subtle tweaks to it, but yes. Thank you all.